Just really quick before I start talking about everything with my character and the breakpoints, something I forgot to mention after recording this video. Divine Shield is something you should definitely allocate. At some point in my character progression, I literally needed the skill point to fix my character and took it away from here and forgot to put it back. It is a noticeable amount of regen that you have when you're in the middle of a million enemies. And you don't need this, but Aegis does most of the work, but it's very good. It's really good high regen. So if you can make the room to have it, then just do it. All right, so I've got a quick character update here, which will also be followed by the process of getting the breakpoint setup going correctly between your attack speed and your cooldown of Forbidden Right. So first I'm just going to talk about the character a bit, and then when I go into POV to show the differences with the upgrades I made and changes to my personal attack speed and cooldown rate thing, that's when I'll break that down and explain it to everybody, because I thought it was going to be something really, really complicated to learn. And so I kind of just thought I'd never would bother to do so. But then I kind of figured out that it is not that complicated. It's just a matter of knowing. So my mistake to not put it in the deep dive. I don't think anyone's even really complained about that yet, but I think you should, because that should have been in there. And so that's my bad. But so first I will talk about the upgrades I got. So today has been a wonderful day, and I don't have any clips because I keep forgetting to turn, I'll do it right now while I'm remembering. I keep forgetting to turn the instant replay back on here. Let me get it to 60 seconds too. So today I've dropped, from strong boxes, I dropped 2 doctor cards, 2 immortal cards, which is the House of Mira card, and those are about 8D each right now, from boxes today. And then I dropped from the Genesis tree 2 of the Foulborn Headhunters that are the Eat a Soul one, the Soul Eater ones, which are, I think, the worst Headhunters you can actually get, but they're still 40 divine right now, so that was another 80. And I also dropped an Aegis, Aurora, with Spell Block implicit, which is a 17 divine corrupt. So today has been a massive day for money for me, and it let me do a lot of things. First and foremost, something that I was planning on getting as soon as possible, because it's an item that's going to go to 200 divines at some point, is a +1 power charge synthesized ring. So I bought this base just a little bit ago, slammed some dexterity essences on it, got a couple really good resistances, which is really important, and even a little bit of energy shield. This is what it came out to. This was I don't know, 15 essences I only had to click on to get this. And then I bought this, Calandra's Touch, which, okay, this was 80 divine, by the way, the base. 85. It was 85 divine for the base, which is a lot, but it's going to get way higher. It was literally 50 divine yesterday, so it's already on that path. And then I got the Calandra's Touch, which is 25D right now, which is pretty expensive for Calandra's Touch. Weird. Most things are cheaper this league, but not Calandra's Touch. So that's the biggest thing here. Pretty big power spike. Get it? Because it's power charge, it's power spike. That wasn't intentional. So there's that. That's great. Big upgrade. Up to 9 power charges now. And then I just spent 12D only on this upgraded chest. It's good enough for me for a long time. Mine was kind of lacking. The one that's now in my shop. Just lacking on the ES number a bit. And I really didn't I lost about 1,000 ES through all of these upgrades and everything. And I was feeling kind of bad about that. So I'm like, I need to upgrade the body armor. And so I did. And this is what I have. I would love to not have resistances crafted on there and have the attributes crafted on there, but it's just how it is for right now. I recrafted my gloves because I needed the attack speed, which will come up in a minute. And I'm trying to think, what else did I do? I think that's it other than the graft. Started using this graft, and it's the implicits on it that are really important, but it also is giving me 50% crit chance and 40% crit multi. Oh, one other thing. In the deep dive, I have power charge on crit as one of the 6 links. somebody in the comments told me that crit multi is better in the slot, and I kind of knew that, like POB was telling me that, but at the same time I was like, okay, but power charge generation is going to be weird while you're mapping. It's fine for anything single target because you have Assassin's Mark, which gets you your power charges on hit, but mapping I was like iffy. But I just said, fuck it, I'll trust this guy and I'll just go try it, and it just works. Okay, like you do actually just maintain your power charges. If you find a rare, you Assassin's Mark it, it's like gets you all your power charges, and you have 8% to get a power charge on kill with this thing, and it just ends up being sustained. So he's right, and increased crit multi is the best 6th link here. Now, maybe once I'm at like 11 power charges, it's no longer the better one. Maybe power charge on crit is actually better at that point, and then it's even smoother to use. But yeah, so that's basically everything that's changed. Not many things changed, but very big changes to those things. So that's that. Now, let me break down how this works. But here's the new stats. So I was at, what was it for the, it was like 21 mil or something like that for the previous POB on the character I was running. So I've basically almost doubled it. And the next thing I'm going to upgrade, by the way, is going to turn the 9 withered stacks, which isn't 100% uptime, by the way. It's kind of confusing and hard to explain with the withering step and how it all works together, but this will turn into 15 permanently. So that'll be an even bigger damage jump there, but not 9 for now, while I'm just using withering step. But yeah, so I almost doubled my damage, and it just feels like so much better. Like I like not taking an hour to kill a fortress boss. That's great. And by the way, I've finally allocated this thing, which I didn't have before, which is so cringe. So that made a huge difference. But okay. So let me talk about how this stuff works. With Forbidden Right, I don't know if this is universal for all cast on crits. Why does this say this? Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, so actually, I forgot I was supposed to turn this off. I actually have 44 mil DPS. I forgot to turn off the Vol Haste. So I'll mention that now. If you're using one of my POBs, I did not, this is really annoying. Always uncheck Vol Haste. Because remember, I'm only using it to just be a movement speed. This will be replaced soon with Despair. That's going to be some new tech. But uncheck this. It's literally just for movement speed. It just feels good to press that sometimes for movement speed. That's all it's for. Don't ever have this checked because it will mess up everything. So just make sure that's off. So, okay, I actually have 44 mil DPS. And the number, so this is what you want to do to figure out if you're doing your breakpoint correctly. So you go into the calculations tab in POB, find your Forbidden Right, and then there's this box right here, the attack/cast rate box. This is everything. Okay, this is how you do this. So this number here is the amount of times that Forbidden Right of Soul Sacrifice can cast within 1 second. And there are certain breakpoints. I don't know exactly why the breakpoints exist, but I'll actually pull up an image here. I got one. This is how I kind of learned about this stuff. There's 2 images. That's one. Here's the other. So for some reason, this is basically the 3 different levels of breakpoints for, I'm assuming, just cast on crit in general. So if you have no cooldown reduction, the max you can get is 6.06 casts per second. And then the 14 through 51% is 7.57, and that's what I was on. Okay, this is what I was on, and probably what a lot of people will be on. If you're, especially if you're on the medium budget, this is probably the zone you'll be in. And then 52 and higher is the highest you can get. Okay, so I was at literally 51, which is kind of triggering, and I'll go over how I've solved having that much. There was 2 ways I could do it that were like the most obvious ways, and I chose the graft option. But so this is how it works. So if you're in this, you want this to be your number, and POB will tell you that. Like if I take something out of my custom config here, which is the graphed thing, the graphed implicit, if I delete this, my calc goes down to that number. So just that simple 2%, because I was at 51, just the simple 2%, which, by the way, it says 8, that is what I'm getting, but it doesn't matter if it's 8 or 2. See how it doesn't, you can see the number is the same either way. So that's the breakpoint explained on how many times Forbidden Rite of Soul Sacrifice can cast. Now, what do the things under that mean? Because this is what, this is the numbers you have to start tweaking. So it's kind of nice that there's only these 3 breakpoints, because you don't have to like get too specific about your own character, and it's just kind of like, okay, there's like the 3 levels of it. Which level am I on? And then you can focus on that level, and it's not like you're dealing with some random niche case of whatever yours is. So this effective source rate is the attack speed, and this is the crit. So if you have 100% crit, this number will always be the same as this. If you had 50% crit, then this would be 5. But you pretty much always want to be getting 100% crit on Cyclone. Like, that's one of the most important things ever when it comes to cast on crit builds. So you probably are already doing that. So you probably won't even have to worry about the skill trigger rate number here. So you're just going to worry about this one, which is your attack speed. And the general rule here, which you can see from this image, the perfect scenario is having just below the trigger rate cap. You want to have it just under. As close as you can get, but never over. To make it simple, never over. Always under, and preferably as close as you can get to the number up top as possible. If you go a little bit over, you have an issue, because you're going to end up on a lot of your like rotations, essentially, it's going to get messed up, and you're going to end up not triggering. Like, you're going to have to wait almost 7. Like, you're going to have to wait almost the same amount of time. I'll put it, you have to hit like twice, basically, to get 1 proc, if you have just over. So you never want to be over. That's like almost halving your damage, literally. And here's an example of not having enough crit chance. That's why this number goes down. But I'm assuming this isn't going to be a problem for you. And then this is just saying this is not quite good enough. You should really get that up, because it'll make a big difference. It's not quite enough attack speed. So, basically, and it's going to be a little bit different for everyone, you have to find the places you can get attack speed on your character. And let's say you're over. Like, if you're over the number, then you have to find places to lose attack speed. But regardless, I would put it like this. The best course of action to make sure you're getting this number right is to always start with the weapon. Okay, I think you should always start with the weapon, because the attack speed on the weapon has the biggest impact on attack speed overall. So get the attack speed on the weapon first. It's like the biggest priority here, because every other number is going to work. It's going to be so much easier to work with than this one. If you have to tweak this one, you're fucked. Because not only do you have to waste money getting a new dagger and trying to sell the one you have now, which is what I at some point foolishly thought I'd have to do. Don't do that. Just get the attack speed on the weapon first. And then there is a few of the vectors that I think are the best to try to work around. First one being attack speed on the gloves. Because it's pretty easy to get attack speed on gloves. Like, these aren't even crafted very well. This is like a rust pair just to get this thing working. It's not that hard to get. You can even buy a fractured one and craft using fucking Reforged Defense or the WoW Essence if you wanted to, just for the ES roll and the prefixes, whatever. Get your prefixes done, and then you have tier whatever attack speed. I personally actually used the second highest tier Essence, because I didn't want more than 15. Because if I had 16, it just like barely threw my number too high. So I'm like, oh, fuck it. I'll just craft with the second best Essence. So that's what I did. Attack speed on the gloves is nice because it's a controllable number with essences. So that's a good one to look at. And by the way, if you need to see, like for example, if I was like, what would happen if it were 16? Then I just go in here and I edit this number. It looks like it's actually fine now to get a little bit to get there. I actually think this is messed. Oh, I don't know why this is doing this, but regardless, I'll make it higher. Then I'll just go to 18, which is the highest you can get on an essence. So let's look at 18. And now it's fucking up. Now it's starting to lose DPS. So you can always just go in here and you can just see what the number would do for you. So that is something to consider. So that's like number one vector of scaling that is nice here to try to deal with. Another one is you can, there's this cool luxury of this build right now and with the bloodline ascendancies, which is you can choose to take Withering Presence, which is nice. 15% more chaos and you get a little bit more withered. Not that much, but a little bit. Or you can take the Spectral Tigers, which I think is just a really good problem solver for this build right now. Like, I decided that I would use it to get to my breakpoint. Going up from the 51 to the 52, where you need to go from like 7.5 attacks or whatever to 10. I was like, I'm going to use the Spectral Tigers for this because this 32% attack speed is going to do like the most heavy lifting of this change. And so that's what I chose. And Spectral Tigers are already really good for the build because you just get 125% crit chance, right? Like, they can't go wrong with that. So this is another thing I would suggest. Just remember that if you choose to do this, you have to type this in here. You have to have this in the config because POB still does not have support for the Spectral Tigers. So just remember that. Also, you want to make sure this whole config is done correctly, by the way, before you do any of this, because you need to know they're going to be, if you're using the Rational Doctrine, they're going to be on profane ground, and so you need to know that they're going to have the 100% crit chance from that and everything. You know, you get it. The configs of my POBs are all correct, so just copy those if you have to. So that's another simple one. So gloves and Spectral Tigers. Honestly, for most people, that'd probably be enough to solve the whole thing. But if you need even more vectors, you could get it on rings. You can get attack speed. I think there might even be an essence for that. Let me check that, actually. Does the attack speed one give it on rings, too? No, it's cast speed. So you can't do it with that. But I think you can roll attack speed naturally on rings. There's glove implicit. If you are desperate as hell and it's a nice place to get it, you'd have to replace unnerve, but that's okay. Why do I have lightning conversion? Okay, that has to be mark effect. It's not that important. It doesn't really do anything, but I forgot to replace that with mark effect, but that's okay. Basically meaningless. You can use a silver silver flask for onslaught. That's another way that you can do it if you choose to. The enchant on your weapon might make a big enough difference. There's grafts can roll up to 14% attack speed. I don't have one with attack speed because it would brick mine, but you can get them with attack speed. So on the attack speed side, you'll figure that out. Oh, you can get it on jewels too. That's another thing. You can get it on jewels. You can get pretty good amounts on jewels actually, right? Because you can get like the flat attack speed, like 3 to 4% or whatever that one is, general attack speed, and then you can also get attack speed with daggers, I'm sure is like a really high number, or one-handed melee weapons or whatever. So that's the attack speed. But what about the cooldown recovery rate? Which is probably something I should have mentioned first because it's pretty simple and there's not really many ways to get it. So if you are using Awakened Cast on Crit, level 5, and you have this mastery, which both of the things I just said I consider kind of mandatory for a cast on crit build because it's just so good. If you have that, the Awakened Cast on Crit will give you 31% increased cooldown recovery rate. Okay. And I think this has to be deliberate from GGG because I feel like they know that the breakpoint is 52%, obviously. And so they're like, all right, we're going to give them 31 here. Now you can make that number 34 if you go to level 6 to have a level 9 Awakened Cast on Crit. So that's number one way of reaching 52. And this is one of the methods that I was considering. I think it's like 15D to get a level 6 one. And it doesn't have to be quality 23 if you do that. And the other most important place to get cooldown reduction, unless you're using Ralakesh boots, which I just, at this point, think you shouldn't. for the setup I run. There's going to be other setups that are better for wearing Ralakesh boots, but getting 20, you can get 20% on the boots, 20% cooldown recovery rate. But like I just said, GGG clearly knows and did this 31% number deliberately, because guess where that puts you? That puts you at 51. So you're 1% away from that breakpoint of 52 for a massive DPS boost. And so where do you get it? Well, like I said, you can level this up to level 6, or there's another option which I wish I had considered, but I didn't really think about, which is Abyss Jewels. Abyss Jewels can have cooldown reduction on them. I don't know which one it is. Maybe it's all of them. I don't know. Yeah, okay, so just you can get any percent, doesn't matter. You can just get percent on a jewel. So if you want to use a jewel socket, or if you're using a Stygian Vise, then you can do it like that, which is probably the way that most of you will want to do it, because I imagine it's the most comfortable way to do it. You can probably even get one with like corrupted blood immunity or something. But before I knew that those existed, I ended up spending 13 divine on getting this graft, which has a corrupted implicit, 2% increased cooldown recovery rate for each green skill gem that you have socketed, which I have 4, and so I get 8%, but I only cared about getting 2% more. And I happened to pick, you can get them for like 6D, but this one was like a well-rolled one with the thing that I wanted, with the crit multi and crit chance, so I'm like, all right, fuck it, I'll get that one. It's 13D, and this solved the problem entirely. So I got my attack speed to where I needed it to be, and I got the extra cooldown recovery rate from using this graft. So that is the whole explanation of this thing. The simplest way of thinking about it is whatever the number is right here, you need the numbers below it to be just under that number, and you'll be golden. And so that's what I've learned. And also the, let me find it. Okay, yeah, I'm literally right here. So just to quickly demonstrate the difference between power charge on crit, and it's actually going to be a little bit less of a difference now that I have 9 charges instead of 7. But God, PoE is so slow when you have this much stuff going on in it. So if I enable crit multi, I get 36.8% damage. And if I enable power charge on crit, it's 36.5, which if it really is that much of it, I'm putting power charge on crit back on. Personally, I'm just going to put it back on, because this difference isn't meaningful enough to me anymore, now that I have 9 power charges. So so that means, though, once you're at 10 or more, you're going to get better value out of power charge on crit. So just wear power charge on crit if you have 10 or more. And in my opinion, if you have 9, to be honest, if it's going to be this much of a difference. So because there's situations where it's nice to have this, right? Like you can sometimes be on maps where monsters steal your charges, so it's nice to be able to get them back like instantly. But anyway, that's all. Nice little update here, and explaining that whole thing that I just was so intimidated to learn about. I thought I was going to be too stupid to understand it, but it's really simple, as you can see. So yeah, thanks for watching, and hopefully this was helpful for you.